In this video, I will share with you one thing that I done throughout my journey and it caused me to make a lot more gains. I will tell you what is the downside of doing it that I experienced in my own journey and how to do it in the best way possible. It is about compound versus isolation exercises. When I started my fitness journey, I heard that advice of do more compounds instead of isolations. I was the one who planned my training, who created my training plan. I learned a lot so I could do it. I did it, I followed my plan. I made a lot of results. The majority of the exercises in my plan were compounds. Right? That was pretty damn smart of me. I learned it from the science. I saw that the hypertrophy benefits are pretty similar to isolations. I did some isolation exercises for my biceps and my triceps and some for my legs. Nothing crazy. And it was pretty much a mistake, but I could have avoided it and still be extremely efficient in the gym and make more progress in less time. But here's the thing, so doing compound exercises instead of isolation exercises is usually a better use of your time. For most people who are busy, who doesn't want to have the extremely balanced physique and look as good as they can to the greatest extent, you can get around 80 to 90% of the results when it comes to getting jacked, when it comes to becoming aesthetic, just by doing compound exercises. That's what I believe to be true, that's what the science says, and that's what I was doing throughout my journey. But here is the one big problem. There are a few muscles that you can truly train without isolating them. I made this mistake, bro. I genuinely made it. When I started my journey, I didn't do exercises for my side delts. I did overhead press, right, that exercise, but the thing about this exercise is that it does not target the side delts to a decent extent, and that's one of the downsides of compounds. Some compound exercises don't target all of the muscles to the same extent or to a good extent. So in an exercise like overhead press, this exercise targets mostly the front delts and some of the upper chest and some of the side delts, but to the greatest extent, a much larger extent than the other muscle, it targets the front delts. And that's the downside of doing them. There are some muscles that won't grow just by focusing on compounds alone. And that's how I think that most people should balance their training. That's the way that I think that most people will see most results from their training in the least amount of time. It is this approach. You do mostly compound exercises. You can do the training plan of push-pull legs or upper lower or full body. If you do full body, then you should really prioritize compound exercises, but then you should do some isolation exercises for either the muscles that you feel better when isolating. So some people feel better when isolating certain muscle groups than doing compounds and targeting them this way. If you are like that, then target them using isolations. It will give you a better benefit because mind-muscle connection is associated with more hypertrophy and can correlate with it pretty well. Now, another part of it is if you have a body part that is lagging. Let's say your right bicep is way smaller than your left one. Then isolating the right one is probably a smart choice if you want to have a more balanced physique. And you can do supersets, do your normal compound movement and just do a superset and do your biceps, or pre-exhaust your biceps before a compound movement for your back, and then you will get more back development, more back activation to be more specific, which can lead to more back development. But in general, you should isolate what you can grow using compound. Muscles like your side delts, your neck if you want a bigger neck, your abs. If you want to grow these muscles, they are muscles, right? You should isolate them because they don't really work in most compound exercises. And that's basically what you need to keep in mind, because once I started to train my side delts, they grew a lot and now I have a pretty big side delts. Now here is another really important thing that I think that you should keep in mind. So you should keep in mind your intensity. So think about it like this. If you were to go and completely isolate your biceps and train really hard and really feel that this muscle works, you would make a lot of progress in growing it. In contrast, if you were to go and do a compound movement, you would try to target your back, you will try to just focus on your back without your bicep at all, right? You would get your back to complete muscular failure, but you would not emphasize your bicep, in which they get even remotely close to failure. You will not grow them. That's just my hypothesis. If you were to do a compound movement and emphasize all of the muscles in there and try to get them all to failure, you would get very similar, if not the same results as if you were to isolate each one of them. That's just an hypothesis of mine. I haven't seen the science when it comes to it, right? It should work based on logic, and then if you were to, in contrast, to just do a compound movement and try to emphasize your activation on one muscles out of these muscles, you will largely get suboptimal results, if not on no results at all in the muscles that you don't even get remotely close to failure. You should get all of them to failure, and by doing that you will get a lot of results. That's what I think. I might be just talking bullshit, right? So how should it look like? In my opinion, most people will see most benefits if they will do 80% of their exercises as compounds, barbell row with the emphasis on the biceps, fucking lat pull downs with the emphasis on the biceps, bench press and these exercises. They would get most results if 80% of their exercises would be exercises like these ones, and 20% would be exercises like lateral raises, bicep curls, fucking exercises that involves elbow extension. All of these exercises are absolutely awesome, but they should not occupy most of your training plan because they yield largely suboptimal results. If you try to get to the Olympia stage, then that's a massive, right? A massive exception. If you want your body to be extremely aesthetic and proportional, like to the greatest extent, then that's another exception. So up to the 80% point, that's when compounds can carry you. Above that 80% point, when it comes to that really proportional aesthetic physique, then it won't carry you above the 80% point. From there on, you need to put 80% of the freaking effort by isolating, and then you will get there. You will get the 100% benefits. Most people don't need to get there, right? Most people train to get pretty big and fairly jacked, and if you are like most people, then that's not your goal to get like 100%. You probably have a life if you are like most people, and you can spend only 45 to 60 minutes working out 3 to 6 times per week. If you're like that, then focusing more of your attention on compound is a pretty smart choice, right? And that's it. If you enjoyed this video, you can like and subscribe. If you want to get a free course, link in the description. Bye.